Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and unpack the invisible web that brings everyday products directly to your doorstep. We rarely think about it when we're browsing an aisle or clicking add to cart, but getting the product from a factory floor into your hands, that involves an incredibly complex, highly orchestrated system. Today, we're going to see exactly how that system actually works. Think about this. How do apples grown in the very specific climate of Kashmir end up on dining tables thousands of miles away? It's a simple question, but it highlights a massive logistical hurdle. You see, a product has absolutely zero value if it just sits at the place it was made. If those apples stay in the orchard, they just rot. The whole point of production is consumption, but there's a massive gap, both geographically and in time, between the two. To understand how we close this gap, our explainer today is going to follow a product's journey. We'll be looking at bridging the distribution gap, the key functions of channels, common distribution pathways, how businesses choose the right channel, and finally, deciding on distribution intensity. Let's get right to it. Section 1. Bridging the distribution gap. Let's define exactly what connects a manufacturer to you, the consumer. The crucial thing to understand here is that most producers don't sell to you directly. Instead, they rely on intermediaries, or what we usually just call middlemen, to create a route for their goods. A channel of distribution is exactly this network of institutions. It's the literal pathway goods take as they flow from the producer to the consumer, covering both the physical movement of the items and the actual transfer of ownership. And this beautifully illustrates why this whole system matters so much. Without channels creating these four specific utilities, mass production would be totally wasted. First up is place utility. Think about awesome tea. It's grown in one specific location, but we drink it everywhere. The channel moves it to wherever you happen to be. Then there's time utility. Manufacturers make umbrellas all year round, but you really only need them when the rainy season hits, right? The distribution channel stores them and gets them on shelves exactly when you need them. Next is form utility, which just means getting the product in a convenient size. You don't want to buy a massive industrial vat of soap, you want a single bar for your shower. And finally, possession utility ensures that you can actually buy it at a price and in a condition that works for you. Moving on to Section 2, key functions of channels. Let's peek behind the curtain and look at the actual work these middlemen are doing to add value. First, they handle the transactional functions. This is the buying and selling part, where the title of the goods changes hands from the producer to the intermediary and eventually to you. But here's the really critical part. This also involves risk-bearing. When a middleman buys a huge stock of goods, hoping to sell them to you later, they take on a massive financial risk. If the market price of those goods suddenly tanks, it's the middleman who takes the hit, which perfectly shields the manufacturer. Second, they execute logistical functions. This is the physical heavy lifting. Middlemen assemble massive shipments into manageable quantities and mix and match items so you actually have a variety to choose from. They also make sure everything is stored properly so nothing gets damaged or spoiled. Think about agricultural stuff like food grains that are only harvested in one season. Middlemen store them safely so they can be transported and sold to you all year long. They even handle the grading and packing so the final sale is prompt and easy. Finally, they perform facilitating functions. These are the things that smooth out the entire process for both the buyer and the seller. We're talking about offering credit or financing so you can buy a product now and pay for it later. It includes essential post-purchase service and maintenance, which is a total game changer for complex products like electronics or cars. And honestly, perhaps most importantly for the manufacturer, middlemen act as a massive conduit for market information, feeding your feedback and changing preferences straight back to the factory floor. All right, Section 3, common distribution pathways. Let's explore the different routes a product can actually take on its journey. You basically have two main options here. The first is a direct channel, sometimes called a zero-level channel, where there are absolutely no middlemen between the producer and the consumer. The second is an indirect channel, which uses various combinations of agents, wholesalers, and retailers to keep the product moving along. A really fantastic example of a direct channel is Eureka Forbes. They're super well known for selling vacuum cleaners and water purifiers directly to consumers. Their core philosophy is basically, if the market is inside the customer's house, the absolute best way to reach it is to literally knock on the front door. By using their own massive sales force to arrange in-home demonstrations and deliveries, they prove that a zero-level channel can be incredibly effective. On the flip side, for consumer goods you use every day, think edible oil, sugar, salt, or soap, products follow a much longer indirect path. A manufacturer obviously can't knock on every single door in the country just to sell one bar of soap. So the product moves from the manufacturer to a large-scale agent or broker, then down to regional wholesalers, onto your local neighborhood retailer, and finally, into your shopping basket. Section 4. Choosing the right channel. If you're a business owner, you have to put on your strategist hat when making these decisions. You have to weigh these 4 categories, almost like a decision tree, to balance the cost of distribution with reaching your target audience as efficiently as possible. You need to consider the nature of the product itself, the specific characteristics of your market and your buyers, the availability and efficiency of the middlemen out there, and of course, your own company's internal capabilities and financial strength. Let's break down exactly how a few of these factors dictate the path. Notice how the physical nature of the product heavily dictates the channel you choose. For instance, you absolutely wouldn't use a long channel for perishable goods like milk or eggs. They need a short, lightning-fast channel so they don't spoil. Similarly, really heavy and bulky items like cement or steel use short channels just to cut down on those massive handling and transportation costs. Now, highly technical items like mainframe computers often use direct channels because they require extensive pre-sale consultation and post-sale maintenance that a standard retailer just can't provide. But on the other hand, a long channel makes perfect sense for lightweight, low-value items like pocket calculators or stationery that need to be spread out everywhere. Furthermore, we have to look at company considerations, specifically that constant tension between cost and control. A company has to calculate the distribution costs of each channel and figure out how that impacts the final price tag for the consumer. But it's also about power. A financially strong company might just establish its own direct retail stores, like Bata Shoes, for example, so they can maintain strict, absolute control over their pricing, how their brand is presented, and to ensure they always have fresh stock on the shelves. A financially weak firm, however, just doesn't have that option. They have to rely on the existing middlemen. Section 5. Deciding distribution intensity. Once you've picked your channel structure, we have to decide exactly how many middlemen to use at each specific level. Think of this as an intensity ladder. You can scale all the way down from distributing a basic item absolutely everywhere to granting exclusive rights in one specific territory for a premium product. Step 1 is intensive distribution. Think of a brand of bread or a popular soft drink. You want this product in every single possible outlet. Step 2 is selective distribution, where you rely on just a few chosen, highly reliable retailers. And Step 3 is exclusive distribution, where a manufacturer grants a very limited number of outlets the exclusive right to sell their product. This is usually done to maintain a really premium brand image and ensure top-tier customer service. Now that you understand the behind-the-scenes mechanics of place, time, form, and possession utility, I want to leave you with a quick challenge. Think about the very last thing you bought today. Try tracing its invisible journey backward through the supply chain. Was it a zero-level direct sale, or did it pass through a massive network of wholesalers and retailers? Once you start recognizing this hidden architecture, it completely changes how you view the modern world. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep questioning how the world around you works.